Hi everyone, it's Rafael here, and this is the Peacock podcast. So, my name is Rafael, and this is my first video here telling you what I know about personal branding. From now on, I'm going to share with you how you can build your personal brand and how you can become more visible, more credible, and more influential. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I come from Brazil. I now live in London. I moved to London about 2001 and I left a life in Brazil where I was building my career in a multinational software company that probably a lot of you use it to send emails or use it at work. And I left that life for several reasons, and one of them is obviously I wanted to learn English, I want to study abroad, and I end up building my life here in the UK. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that I have not always been comfortable in front of the camera. You will watch a lot of my videos, you will see my Instagram, and people think that this confidence is a gift. Well, actually, it's not. It's the first thing that I want to teach you is that confidence and skills in front of the camera or in front of a video camera, a photo camera, in front of a journalist, that is skill you can build. I come from very humble beginnings and not always I was comfortable with myself. So one of the things that I learned over time and with hundreds of clients that I had when I had my PR agency here in London is that people are so worried about what others think when it comes to the size of their nose or the size of their ears or how much fat they have on their face or how skinny they are or how big their nose is or how thin their lips are and so on. The list is enormous of all the issues that we tell ourselves that we don't like. And just like you, I had issues with certain things in my body too. And I still do. I still watch my videos and I pay attention to certain things that I really dislike. But I don't let this rule my life. I still have things that I don't like and I work on them, but I know that not everyone is perfect. So, one thing that you should take from this video is, number one, nobody is going to pay attention to the things that you don't like. So let's say if I didn't like my nose and my nose is either too big or too small, too thin, too long or too curved, whatever it is that I don't like about my nose. When I create a video or when I take a picture, I zoom in that picture and I look at my nose. And I'm going to be looking at my nose and thinking, oh my God, it's so big or so small, or it's too curved or too wide, and to this and to that, and the list goes on. In reality is, if I didn't tell you about my nose, I don't have any problems with my nose now. I had plastic surgery. So what would you do if you looked at my nose, you pay attention to my nose, but then you didn't like it? So most likely, either you would say, oh yeah, he has an ugly nose, or he has a big nose, or he has a thin nose, but it wouldn't bother you because you would still keep watching the content. Now, reality is the stories that we tell ourselves sometimes it stops us from doing what we want or for even fulfilling a dream. Now, I don't have problems with my nose now. Yes, I had problems with my nose before. I had plastic surgery and then I was like, okay, so I've done it. It's out of the way. And one of the things that I want to tell you is if there is something that really bothers you, if you can change it by yourself, you can. If you cannot, look for help. It could be anything that is stopping you from maybe recording videos or maybe doing a photo shoot or even sharing with others online. It could be writing or whatever you want to do that it has something that is stopping you from doing it. You should look for help and change. Now, do you always have to change? No. It could be that you can work on it. Some people do therapy, some people do coaching, some people talk to their friends. So my advice number one here is whatever you have in your mind that is stopping you from doing what you want to do, work on it. Half of the problem is solved once you found what the problem is, and now it's time to resolve it, and then look for help. So when it's building a brand, normally personal branding, it's something commercial. Nobody wants to build a personal brand if they don't want to make some money with it. So a personal brand could be, let's say, if you are an educator and you want to start teaching online, or if you want to start recording videos, or you now want to sell your online course. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to do these things too. So let's say you are an entrepreneur that makes cakes and sells cakes, and now you want to start selling how to make those cakes. So you create an online course, but then you have issues that you don't like about yourself, about your body, or about your face, or about your hair. So don't let those things stop you, because you could be sharing with the world, and people could be learning how to make those cakes or how to learn, and you were stopping all those people from learning from you because of the story you're telling yourself. So that's number one when you're building a personal brand, is to understand what do you want from it. So why are you building it, and who are going to be the people that probably will look for your help. So lesson number one here is get over or work on the issues that you don't like in your body, in your face, that are stopping you to do that. Now, personal branding. So branding comes from marketing. I teach marketing at university level. I teach master's students. I teach marketing and international marketing at universities in London. But my life has not always been as an academic. I had also a business for many years. I had several businesses. Some businesses did really well, and I sold and I made money, and some businesses failed miserably. Now, for me to be able to say this sentence, I had to do a lot of therapy, because we don't like admitting to ourselves that we fail. And this is now part of my brand, is part of me. So I cannot talk to you and tell you, yes, go and do it. And then if something doesn't work, what can I tell you? Well, what I'm telling you is I've done it. It didn't work. It took a long time for me to admit and to understand that failing is not the end. So you have to obviously stand up and continue walking towards your dream. And that's why I've decided to start creating videos to help people with their personal brand. But not to tell you simply that it will be a wonderful journey, it will be great, do this and do that, and everything will be amazing. As I said, I come from very humble beginnings, and in 2001, when I moved to London, I couldn't speak English. So for me to be able to today start building a personal brand comes from a lot of investment, financial investment, because I had to pay for a lot of courses. I attended several free and paid workshops and courses for me to be able to develop certain skills. And this is what I want. My second advice to you is invest in your education. And when I talk about education, it doesn't have to be just formal education. You don't have to go to uni, but even those short courses, or educate yourself, because there are a lot of videos on, even here on YouTube and Instagram, that will teach you how to do things. And then what you do is slowly you start picking and choosing what works for you. Because what worked for me, talking to coach and doing a therapy and doing this and doing that and doing courses, it might not be the right path for you. But the key thing to understand is you need knowledge. You need to understand what you need to do. And the theory, when you put the theory into practice, and then you understand, okay, so if I'm learning about this and this and this, how does this transfer to my life? So it's important for you to understand, when you're building a brand, what do you want people to know? How do you want people to remember about you? So the question number one is, if I ask you, for example, think of a pair of trainers, or tennis, as we say in Portuguese, tennis trainers, running shoes, whatever it is. Most people, if I say, think of a pair of trainers, the first thing that comes to their mind is either Nike or Adidas. So they build their brand of this one product that every time that I ask you to think of it, it comes to your head. Now, if I ask you to think of a perfume, which perfume comes to your mind when I say, tell me the name of perfume that you like or a name that you remember? Again, that brand, so if you said maybe Chanel or Dior or whatever brand came to your mind first, so they positioned themselves in your mind as a number one perfume or the number one pair of trainers. Now, when you are building your personal brand, what do you want to be known for is the question. What do you want people to remember or associate you with? So I'm going to tell you in the next videos about the peacock and how people associate peacock with me. I receive photos, I receive videos, and I'm going to tell you as we develop here and me creating videos and sharing with you what my life has been and why I decided now to help entrepreneurs, educators, and everyone else to build their personal brand. And how do you want to monetize your personal brand? So this video, it was an introduction video, and I hope you got something out of it so far, because I'm going to be talking a little bit more, and for the lessons that you learned so far. So the number one lesson is you need to work on the things that you don't like. Yeah. So either you work on it yourself, so you change your mindset, or you work with someone to be able to make that change. Or number two is I'd like you to invest in your education and knowledge, so you start acquiring even more. So when you start sharing you start building your personal brand, you have a base on why you're sharing and how you're sharing with the audience. And now what I want you to think about is what you want to share with people, what kind of brand you want to share. Just like the examples that I gave to you about Nike and Chanel, I want you to think, if you start building your personal brand, what do you want people to think of if they hear your name? So for example, if you say, oh, Rafael Peacock personal branding, yeah. So the slogan that I use is visible, credible, influential, because when you create a brand, you are becoming more visible. And the more you share with people and the more knowledge that you have, you then start having more credibility. And that will influence people, either influence people to buy from you, or influence people the way they behave, the way they think, the way they act, and also the way they speak. So this is really important for you to understand, that building a brand, that is a sense of responsibility, because you know that by becoming more visible and becoming more credible, you will influence people, and hopefully in a very positive way. So this video so far has given you 3 things for you to think about. So number one is, if that is something that you don't like and you want to change, how are you going to change that? Are you going to change that by yourself or with the help of someone? Number 2 is, you are going to invest, and it doesn't have to be just a lot of financial investment. You can start consuming knowledge from YouTube. I'm going to give you a few tips on courses that you can do, free courses, so you can acquire that knowledge. And now the third one is what you want to be known for. So think of, if people think of you, how they want to associate you with what you're offering. So just going back to the example of Nike and Chanel. That's how a personal brand will start building. And once you understand that, and the more you think, the more you plan, the more you study, and the more you share, the easier it becomes. So this skill of sitting in front of a camera and talking to the camera and explaining or teaching or showing, it's not a skill that is going to develop overnight. So you're not going to watch this video and suddenly you will then sit in front of a phone or a camera and start filming. But what I want here is to plant a seed and share with you that I went through this. I had this journey where I really disliked things about myself. I didn't record videos. I didn't share with the world. And this doesn't disappear overnight. As we get older, I'm now over 40. There are things that I started disliking. It's like, oh, where is the collagen that I had? Where is the energy that I had? And if you're watching this in your 20s, you're not going to relate to this. But there are certain things in my 20s that I didn't like. And just like I learned to like those things, and now what I do is there are certain things like, oh, I want my collagen back and I want my energy back. And if you're 40 or, over 40 and watching me, you will understand what I'm talking about. But I don't let these things rule my life. I don't let those things that I don't like be the defining factor on how I'm going to live. And that's why I decided now to start my podcast on personal branding. And also, that's why it's called the Peacock Podcast. I will share with you the story about the peacock so you understand what it is. So you have to stay tuned. And the idea of my videos, just like when I'm in the classroom, it's always providing a lot of information. And you will understand that the more you watch, there is always 1, 2, or 3 things that I want you to remember. In marketing, we say, tell me 3 and I remember 1, tell me 4 and I remember none. So the key idea for every video is for me to give at least 3 ideas every time. 3 things for you to think about, 3 things that will make you think, for you to critically analyze, as we use in academia. Because the more you think about this and the more it is in your mind, and if you want to solve those issues, and if you want to gain that knowledge, and if you want to be known for something, the seed is now planted. But it depends only on you for you to be able to nurture the seeds. And this seed of knowledge, this seed of self-knowledge, this seed of self-acceptance can only be nurtured by you. You can watch my video and all the other millions of videos out there, but you need to understand that until you take an action for you to make that decision and to change, to improve, to share, nothing is going to happen. So this is my first video to help you all to understand what are the bases and how you will start thinking and planning about your personal brand.